What's up, everybody? Welcome to Heresy Financial. My name is Joe Brown, and today we are going to be looking at the fact that Congress just passed the new stimulus bill, $1.9 trillion. It's now getting sent over to Biden's desk, and he's expected to sign it into action on Friday. So in this video, we're going to be looking at, number one, what's in the bill. Number two, why it is currently causing asset prices to skyrocket. And number three, the problems that this bill could actually pose to the banking system. Ready? Let's dive in. All right, so a couple of things that are going to be on everybody's mind in with this new stimulus bill. The first thing is going to be the $1,400 checks. Now, this is $1,400 per person, adult, child, which means that your average family of four is going to be getting $5,600. Now, for individuals, this starts phasing out at $75,000 annual income, and for couples filing jointly, this is going to start phasing out at $150,000. But that's not the only helicopter money that's getting passed out here. We also have a child tax credit increase. So if you're not aware with the way that child tax credits work, a tax credit is a credit that's applied to the amount of taxes that you end up owing for the year. So you make all your income, you spend all your money, you get your deductions, all of that. The amount of taxes that you owe, let's say at the end of the year, is $4,000, but you have two kids. Previously, the child tax credit was $2,000. You have two kids. That means you owe $0 in taxes in total, because $2,000 times two kids, $4,000. You were going to owe $4,000. You get a credit of $4,000. Negates each other. Tax credits are a lot more powerful than tax deductions, because deductions just reduce your taxable income. So instead now of being $2,000, that amount is being raised to $3,000 or $3,600, depending on the age of your child. 6 and under, the child tax credit is going to be $3,600. Over is going to be $3,000. But that's not all. Instead of just being applied as a credit to whatever taxes you might owe at the end of the year, this is actually going to be paid out in checks monthly. So let's say you have 3 kids, all under the age of 6, you're going to be collecting $900 per month, probably starting in July, because it's the total amount, $3,600 divided by 12, paid out monthly. And at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, it'll still all come out to basically be the same thing, but you actually get it as a check ahead of time instead of having it just applied to your taxes. And just in case you're sitting there thinking, man, all of this free money actually sounds pretty great, just keep in mind, it's a $1.9 trillion stimulus bill, meaning that if you qualify for getting, let's say, $1,400 of it, or maybe if you're lucky because you've got a kid, you qualify individually for making, let's say, $1,700 or $1,800 or $1,900 of it, or maybe you've got some jobless benefits you can throw on top of that, like the new $300 jobless benefits per week. This is going to cost you $5,700 in an average cost increase, because 330 million Americans divided into $1.9 trillion. When you increase the amount of money in a system, things get more expensive. So maybe it'll show up first in asset prices, which it's looking like it's doing. Maybe it shows up in the prices of used cars, which also have gone up dramatically recently. Maybe it's shown up in the prices of houses, which, as we know, we've got a housing price boom all across the country. Maybe it shows up in the price of lumber or raw materials, or just the regular old stuff that people have to buy, that when they get these big checks, they're going to go out and buy. Money printing doesn't create more stuff, so when everybody has more money to go buy the stuff that they want or need, there's the same amount of stuff that's more money chasing the same amount of goods and services. That drives the price up. What happens if you're playing Monopoly and the banker decides to double everybody's money on the board, but the same properties stay in place? You're going to start having higher auctions for properties, because if you could afford $500 for something before, you can afford $1,000 for it now. Now everybody has the ability to place more houses and more hotels on their properties, which means rents go up as well. When you have more money pushed into a system without a relatively equal increase in goods and or services, you're going to have price inflation. That's just a law of how money works. It doesn't all happen equally. It doesn't distribute itself equally, but on average, prices are going to go up, especially the longer time frames that you look at. So why does this new stimulus bill put the banking system in danger? I made a very detailed video about this before, but in general, the banking system can't handle the flood of cash that's about to hit the system. There's something called the supplementary leverage ratio. That's basically like a margin rule for banks. When you go and you're investing or you're trading in your margin account with your broker, you're allowed to make a specific amount of purchases based on the amount of cash. You have to have a certain amount of actual equity, and you can you can buy more than the amount of cash that you have, but not an infinite amount more unless you invest with Robinhood. Well, for banks, it's different. Right now, they do have an infinite amount that their balance sheets can lever up to compared to the amount of base equity that they have. And that's because when COVID hit, the Federal Reserve just withdrew the rules and said, banks, we don't want to cause you any undue pressure right now, just in case there's other things causing you harm right now. So we're going to let you lever up your balance sheets to whatever you want. Well, that suspension is set to expire March 31st, the end of this month, and there's still been no word on extending that deadline. And here's the problem. Most banks right now, it looks like, don't have the balance sheet capacity to absorb $1.9 trillion system-wide in new deposits, because $1.9 trillion is getting spent into the economy, and about $1.2 trillion of that is not currently in the banking system. It's held in the Treasury General account. This is money that's left over from the first stimulus bill last year that never got spent. It's money outside the banking system. $1.2 trillion of it is about to flood into the system. The Treasury's been very clear. They're issuing, new debt in order to pay off their old debt, but not enough to monetize or not enough to pay for the entire new stimulus package here. They're going to draw on that $1.8 trillion that's currently sitting there in the Treasury General account. Now, you might be asking, if money's coming into banks, why is that going to cause problems for banks? That seems like a good thing. Well, deposits are liabilities for banks, and it's quite frankly, they just don't have the base equity to support system-wide right now. $1.9 trillion is what it looks like. It's possible nothing comes of this, but it looks like they don't have the ability to absorb this influx of cash, which means either the Fed is going to have to extend this, and lots of people are talking about this now, and so I'm sure they're aware of it, or maybe they're just going to wait and see what happens and see if it does cause any crazy issues, hiccups, cracks appearing out of nowhere in the credit markets. And then if it does, they can use that as an excuse to do something else that they've been wanting to do that they just don't have the public acceptance to do right now, such as buying a ton of extra, long maturity debt like the 10-year, 20-year, 30-year treasuries to push down yields. Could be. Not sure. Could be. Now, I know that some of you have direct questions that you'd love to ask or specific topics you'd like me to address. Feel free to check out my members only live stream. We're having our next one next week on Monday. You can join by hitting the join button next to the subscribe button below the video or with the link in the description. We do a members only live stream every single month. That way it keeps the group very small so that anybody who wants to has the ability to ask any questions that they'd like. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.